Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I request unanimous consent to enter into the record a series of letters from the Oregon delegation of Mr. Teshuta at the Office of the Assistant Secretary, Indian Affairs, IHS, and Department of Education, as well as the responses we received from those agencies.
Without objection, so moved.
Mr. Cruz, feel sorry for you being the sacrificial lamb here. We asked Mr. Teshuta and Mr. Dearborn to show up, and they did not have the intestinal fortitude, so it fell to you, and I appreciate it. So my comments are going to be pretty harsh. They're not directed at you. Please rest assured. Well, maybe a couple might be. All due respect, you just stated a moment ago that the reason we don't have supervisors from Chemawa is because they're in school. And you just heard from Ms. Moody Arado that there is no school. They've been out of school since May 3rd. Why'd you tell us that?
Sir, it's my understanding that Laura had a scheduling conflict.
All right, so the bottom line is you don't know what's going on and you're not telling the committee the honest truth. Let's be honest. You stated that there's this whistleblower protection statute. It's not followed. It's window dressing. Your testimony, with all due respect, reads like the responses the Oregon delegation got back from BIA, BIE, a bunch of policies, a handbook that you have that dots all the I's and crosses all the T's, but is not followed, is not implemented, and puts these young people at horrible risk in Indian country. It is a complete lack of management by your agency of these kids' precious lives. Totally inappropriate. We're taking steps. We have strategic direction plans. Ask Ms. Willis and Ms. Keith how good they feel about that. How does that help them? How does it help where we're going? I'm concerned. We're asking for help, and we're getting platitudes. That's not what this should be. Indian country deserves the same opportunity every American kid in this country should have, and we're just not seeing it. I want to hear clearly from you, as I alluded to earlier, March 20th, a little over a year ago, 2018, Teshuta told me, hey, you know, we got a gag rule. We're not allowing these folks to talk to you, Congressman, or anybody else for that matter, press, anybody, parents, whatever. You just indicated a moment ago, I don't know how accurate it is given your previous statements, but a moment ago that the gag rule is no longer in effect, that they can talk to me if I call them up tomorrow. Is that correct?
Yeah, in their personal capacity, yes.
Okay, in personal capacity, what does that mean?
They have First Amendment rights to talk to
I would
whoever
like to think
they
they do. I would like, and without fear of retaliation.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so can you commit to making sure all the Chemawa teachers, staff, students, and parents are aware of that? Because they don't know that now. That's not the rule right now.
Yeah, we'll make sure that communication
And
is
when will that
abundantly
happen,
clear.
sir?
I'll talk to the BIE director to make sure that's done as soon as
Sounds like
possible.
chain of command to me, so that may or may not happen. I'm a little concerned given the testimony we've heard here. So can you commit to that's going to happen within the week?
Sir, I can do that. Yes, sir.
All right, appreciate that very, very much. I'm just passionate about the school. I usually don't get too carried away, and I apologize for being a little on the muscle here, but it just bothers me that their First Amendment rights have been denied them up until, hopefully, this new opportunity. And with that comes, hopefully, an opportunity for some of the good practices that both our witnesses here talked about putting into place to prevent some of the problems. Ms. Casey, you talked about the One Chemawa policy. I can't think of a more dehumanizing policy for the vibrant, colorful array of Indian tribes we have in this country to be forced into one white man's view of how you're supposed to present yourself. Could you comment on that a little bit, how that affects the students?
On a daily basis, it affects the students. That's how they begin their day. And I see it, and they comment on it. That was every first, I believe it was first period, at the end of first period, they would always comment. If I had the whole classroom to myself, they were very trusting of me, and still many of them are.
And it's to the committee. It's just so emblematic of the lack of sensitivity that BIA, BIE have toward Indian country. And I really appreciate the opportunity to have the hearing today. I do hope, and it sounds like a good bipartisan effort to hopefully come up with good ideas to fix some of the problems that are there. And it's going to require some legislation because obviously the culture in BIA, BIE historically just can't get it done. So I look forward to working with everybody and want to thank everybody for their indulgence and all the witnesses for all their efforts.
May I provide one more comment? Just in response to Mr. Cruz's comment on sweat lodges, the student sweat lodges are limited to community support, and that's including like federal background checks, so be it. So therefore, they're not as diverse as the students' needs are. And students and past supporting community members have reported breach of privacy that administrative leadership wanted to record or get documentation of what had been said, which is is a complete no-go in our community.
Thank you, and I yield back.